Good evening, all. Getting ready to go live here. Actually, I think we are live. If anyone's in chat, reach out, say hi. Right. Cool. KJO Taku. Howdy to you. Again, sorry if I know you from Twitter and I'm not recognizing your handle. I do apologize. Gonna give people a few minutes to jump on and then we'll get started. I have a goal, and my goal is to keep this to an hour. We're just gonna see how well that goes. I don't know. Hope everyone is doing well. Tech College in Southwest Wisconsin. All right, all right, that's cool. Did a lot of speaking at a few colleges in Southwest Wisconsin. Oh man, I'm trying to remember which one. Anyways, no, that's cool. That's cool. I'm not sure if you kept in touch on Twitter or anything like that, but obviously on Twitter if you're following this, but that's pretty neat. I'm honestly I really miss the speaking circuit. Not that I was ever really part of a circuit, but just you kind of get to know people and who are looking for speakers and stuff like that. And I just man, I just love it. The problem is that, and I say this with no small sense of irony, I don't like virtual speaking. I don't like virtual talks, and the reason being is that I have to have some kind of audience interaction. Like I could never really do like a pre-recorded talk where I just deliver. I mean, I could I could do it, but I'm not gonna like it. I would even on Twitch, at least at the very minimum, I have some chat interaction. I can't hear anything, but I can at least see people interact in some way, and that's super useful. So, but yeah, virtual talks. Some people do it really well, and I just have a hard time with it. Like I really need to be able to see people's faces, and just tell like did that joke land or was it just boring or are people tracking with me or not? And it's just kind of it's frustrating to be honest. So really looking forward to getting back to some semblance of normal, especially if that is involves speaking in conferences, which I would just love to get back into. All right, it is 7:04. Well, what we're gonna do tonight is I mentioned this on Twitter, but we are going to build out a Python script from scratch that I use to see if I could, well, just alert myself when Xboxes became available on Best Buy, bestbuy.com. And because you go, I don't know if you guys have tried to get one. Maybe you have, maybe you're not a gamer, I don't know. But every time I would try and go out and get one, and I don't really need one, but there are a few games that I like, and my kids were always playing my other one, and so I want to get one kind of for myself. It sits up in the office, but so I would cruise around Best Buy and I would see things like there are drops online, and I would go out to Best Buy and try and grab one, and they're always sold out. So GPUs, yeah, exactly. So what I'm gonna write tonight you can use it for any kind of shopping, at least for any website that works. And some websites are really obnoxiously painful, and some aren't. For example, Best Buy is one of the easier ones, which is why I targeted it. Other sites are harder to hone in on. So, for example, like GameStop, you know, getting just browsing out to GameStop, and I wouldn't have believed this had I not sent the traffic through a proxy and actually looked at it myself. But if you go out to just www.gamestop.com, you got no cookies or nothing on your browser, and you just browse out to it, you are going to send over 200 individual GET requests, gets and posts to GameStop.com, and a truckload of, like double-click, like ad providers and JavaScript hosts and just all kinds of over 200. I couldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. And that's one single website. And embedded in that website is, the data that you want. And so sometimes, it can be problematic trying to go out to, for example, Target. If you got to Target.com and you want to, see if you can get a hold of either, a PlayStation or an Xbox or something like that, what they will do is they will actually use Ajax to call another backend site to actually do the stock retrieval. And so, if I can, if I have time, I'll demonstrate how to look at that stuff. Like, I'll demonstrate how to look at that. I do have an example with Microsoft's website where you can go out to Microsoft and they actually, I think it's Xbox.com. If you go to Xbox.com and you hit the check availability button, it throws up a prompt that's like JavaScript, and it basically just says, or it's a JavaScript retrieval, and it says, Walmart, Target, GameStop, and then it gives you the price, and then says whether they're in stock or out of stock. And so that was really interesting to me. So if we have time, I'll get to that at the very end. But I did at least want to do just kind of a basic rundown of what it looks like just to interrogate some of these sites and then send yourself notifications and things like that. So let's dive into the code and Python. And again, we're building from scratch here. So my personal goal is hopefully to have most of the code wrapped up in an hour. I don't know if that's going to be possible or not, but we'll see. I always write bug-free code, so I mean it's like no big deal. All right, so we're all going to do this in Vim. So by the way, I do have a repo. I assume you guys can see my screen. I do have a repo that I've already set up for this. Git called Gimme. Yeah, bug-free code. That's right. And it is out on my GitHub, and it is just called Gimme. So if you want to follow along and pull down the code as I write it, I will do frequent pushes. I wouldn't normally do that. Part of my, I normally just add files and do frequent commits. But in this case, I'll do frequent pushes if you guys actually want to, pull down the code and monkey with it yourself. All right. So inside this repo, all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a script called, we'll just call it search.py. And inside that, the one thing that we're going to be doing, excuse me, is we're going to obviously be sending lots of gets and post requests. So in this case, we're going to use the request library. If you don't have actually, boy, did I even talk about this? No, I probably didn't. Let's have a look at my environment. Do I have Python? I do have Python installed. One thing that I did do for quality of life improvements that I think you guys would benefit from is if you have never used PyEnv, that is PyEnv. PyEnv, I imagine a lot of you are familiar with pipenv. That allows you to have like dedicated pip environments. PyEnv allows you to have dedicated Python environments and then dedicated pip environments inside those Python environments. So it can get a little crazy, but part of the reason why I really like it is because for some of the utilities that we use at work, there are different versions, or there can be different versions of Python where it's like this utility works with this version of Python, but there's a bug in this version of Python. And so in this case, having different versions of Python is actually really nice. So I have, let's see here, PyEnv. What do I have going on here? PyEnv versions, I think it is. Okay. Yep. So in this case, I have PyEnv, or I have Python 3.8.9 installed, and all that is set by the PyEnv version environment variable, which in this case, I'm just setting it in my, I'm setting that in my ZSHRC file, and that is right here. So PyEnv, and setting the Python version there, 3.8.9. So it's really, really straightforward to install. It can get a little hairy with certain utilities because basically what it does and how, like you might wonder how this works, and I wondered a lot myself how this works, but it's actually pretty cool. What they do is when you install PyEnv, it installs shims, application shims. And so Python is actually symlinked to one of these shims. And so when you run PyEnv, or when you run Python 3 or Python, or we just run the Python command, what you're actually doing is you're firing off a shim. And that shim just links you to that specific Python environment. And the really nice thing is if you trash your Python environments like I do frequently with installing some crappy library from wherever, then just trashing the environment and rebuilding is pretty straightforward. So that's PyEnv for you. Pretty handy. I don't know if you're with me on the last stream, I do debugging in Python with Ipdb, and that is pip3 install Ipdb. Okay, actually I do already have Ipdb installed, and that's really handy. We'll actually do live debugging, so you can see how Python debugging works inside of Vim and not leaving the terminal. And I'm a huge fan of not leaving the keyboard as much as possible. So far during this stream, the only thing that I have clicked on is the start streaming button. I haven't actually used the mouse yet. We'll get there as far as browsing, but that's humble brag, I guess. All right, so we're going to make sure that we have installed the requests library, pip3 install requests. Linux Flex. It's a little bit, yeah, all right, I'm not going to lie. Yes, that is straight up a flex. But it's fun, because, I don't know. I like Linuxing. Move that out of the way. I just touched the mouse to move the cursor. Don't tell anyone. All right. Okay, so we have requests installed. And so let's import the requests library. And a few of the things that I might need: sub process. I'll probably need date, time. I might need JSON. By the way, this is down and dirty Python coding. This is not production code. This is just a run at home script. This is just something that I run in cron. So if you install this on some production, if you deploy this out to Kubernetes or something, that's all on you. And so let's see here. Do I want random? Yeah, let's do random. These are generally just a few libraries that I like to have installed from the get-go. And then for the notifications, because one of the important parts to something like this is that you have to be ahead of the crowd. So there, out on Twitter, there are groups. There are Twitter accounts that's like, PS5 notifications and Xbox notifications, and I'm sure there's some for GPU notifications, right? And so if you follow them on Twitter, what'll happen is that somebody will blast out a tweet that just says GPU found here, and then you click the link, and by the time you get there, they're all sold out. So that's super frustrating because those accounts have like 100,000 followers. There's no way you're getting one because it's just bots talking to bots at that point, and that is just downright infuriating because I've been in some of the Discord rooms where people are like following some of these accounts. Like I'm trying to think of the one that was, it's just like Xbox notifications was the account that I was following, and there's a Discord room for it. And you go in there and it's just like a bunch of people that are like, listen, I'm not a bot. I just want an Xbox. And that's just the nature of the game, is that I actually went and looked at bots to see what the cost was and stuff like that. And I saw bots that were selling for, you can buy an entire bot kit for $900,000. You could buy smaller bots for $5,000, $10,000, stuff like that. They are really popular. I had no idea. They are really, really popular with tennis shoes. Had no idea. But again, there are sites that sell these bot kits at like a bot marketplace, and you buy them and you run them, and bam, you get sneakers at your house. Apparently, I had no idea this was a thing because I wear crappy shoes. So, but for Xbox and PlayStation and GPUs, it is most definitely a thing. And so that's what we're up against. Bots are a pain. And if you're like me and you're just some dude who wants his Xbox, what do? You write your own bot. That's basically what I did. Now, I didn't end up going down the road of credit carding, submitting the order and stuff like that. You absolutely can do that because it's code. You can do anything with code. However, in this case, all I wanted a text alert on my phone with the link of where to go. And when I got that text alert, you just click the link, it opens up the app. I already have the payment method, my credit card in the Best Buy app, and I want to be able to just hit add to cart, and away you go. So that was my goal, and it worked. It took a little bit, but it did work out. So it is harder to get a PlayStation. I admit. My son wants a PlayStation. He's like, Dad, can you modify your code to, to get a PlayStation? I'm like, I mean, for a price, clean your room, we'll talk. Okay, so I got my, what was I saying? I was talking about notifications. For notifications, I use Pushover. If you have never used Pushover, it is easily one of the most underrated utilities that I know of. So I think it's just pushover.net. Waiting for pushover.net. There we go. Okay. All Pushover is it's just an app that lets you, it's basically just an API-based text messenger. And what's cool is that they have, you might not be able to see that, but they have examples for how to code it up in the command line. You can send a curl command, you can send a Python command, you can send it in any language. And the best part about Pushover is, if you have a look at, is it here for the licensing? Did I miss it? No, that's the App Store. I don't want that. Pricing. Aha. To use Pushover, $5 one-time purchase. So you can get Push. Now, I think, free on each platform. Right now, in my case, I just have an iPhone, so I just grabbed Pushover for iOS. $5. All right. That is pretty killer, because I use it all the time. And I don't just use it like for my little scripts that I run at home. I use it like at work. So if I'm cracking a password for an account, I want to know when I get a crack. And so I got a job that just runs and says, hey, your password cracked, and it sends me, a Pushover message, which is pretty sweet. So it is seriously, if you want notifications for stuff, Pushover is the way to go, because it's like just the best $5 you'll ever spend. All right, so there is a Python Pushover library for that, and that is install Python Pushover. Python, I think that's it. Yeah, okay, cool. And we already have that installed. Okay, and so I'm going to, from Pushover, import client. Okay. All right, so we got our imports taken care of. Now, when I write code, I imagine that a lot of you that write code are probably the same way. You want to start with something simple, right? You just want to start with, give me something like a really small proof of concept. All right, and so we're going to do that in this particular case. All we're really going to do is let's get a request going. In fact, actually, let's make a method, def, and we'll just call this search. And then let's pass in a URL that we want to search. And then because the nature of this is, here, I'll switch back to a browser. The nature of this is finding something on the page, right? So let's go out to Best Buy. Let's have a look for, we'll just do PlayStation, PS5. Okay. All right. And so it says sold out. Let's grab the actual product link itself. Okay. This URL up here actually looks pretty legitimately. Sorry, am I on the right? Yeah, I am. Okay. Actually looks pretty legitimately like the URL. And notice we have here a button, or what appears to be a button, and it just says sold out. Okay. This is interesting, because if we can kind of hone in on this and have a look, sold out, is that on here? 34,000 characters. And I'm not seeing it. We'll see if it comes back. Oops. We'll see if it comes back via curl. Hopefully they didn't change the code on me. That would be a big bummer. We'll just have to do it live. Okay. Let's grab this. Let's do just a simple proof of concept. curl, and then what do we get back when we go out there? Okay, we get back a ton of stuff. Let's grep sold. Do I got anything? Okay. That's interesting. All right. So if you guys can see this, what's coming back here is a button. It's got a class, button, and we know we're on the right track because it says button disabled. And then over here is where we see the magic words, sold out. Okay, this is what we want to see. Because essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap this command that I got here, this curl command, and look for that phrase, sold out. And if we see something other than sold out, we want to get a text for it. Okay, because what I don't want to hone in on is I don't want to hone in on add to cart. Because what if it's just add? I don't want to hone in. What if they change the text? What if it's not a button? What if it's JavaScript? I want to hone in on something that is simply not sold out. So tell me anytime something else happens other than this, and that might give me time to get to my computer. Because what I have noticed in the past is that sites will, before they get ready to drop a product, something will change on the page. And when that happens, that might be, an update to the CSS, that might be an update to the button itself, that might be an update to, whatever on the page. Before drops happen, generally code changes because they're getting ready. They're getting ready to do a product drop. And so what I like to do is I like to make sure that we're casting a wide net. Okay, because we're talking text messages that are basically free after you pay for Pushover, then this isn't a problem, right? You can send me a ton of text messages, and if I really, really want it, I'll be okay with them, and I'll have time to act on it. In my testing and experience, this code got me text messages on my phone approximately 3 to 4 minutes faster than I saw the Twitter restock notifications coming out. And a lot can happen in 3 minutes when you're up against automation. So it worked out for me because I did get an Xbox. So using this method, and so I've been waiting around for a PlayStation to drop. It's been a while. They haven't dropped an Xbox in a while. But I'm running this every 30 seconds. We'll actually talk through how to get that going. By the way, there's no way this is only taking an hour unless I go super fast. All right. So what I need is I want a search string. Okay. And then let's talk about headers in this case. What I don't want to do is I don't want to send a default header. Or when I say header, I'm talking specifically user agent. I don't want to send a default user agent. I want this to look like it's coming from a browser. So let's go grab a user agent, and we'll just say user agents Apple Safari. On Apple, make it change, how to change user agent. Okay, it looks like user agent in Safari iPad. That might be worthwhile. Hey, there we go. Okay, let's make it look like we're coming from an iPad. All right, so I got my user agent, and we'll just call that UA, paste that in. Okay, now we have our user agent that's going to make it look like we're coming from a legitimate device. In requests, you specify requests as a dictionary, or you specify the headers as a dictionary. So we're going to make a variable called headers, and we're going to, this is called user agent, and we are going to put in the UA. Now you can send all kinds of stuff in this case. You can make the request look as real as you want. In this case, if you just want to use curl to see what it looks like, oh man, see? Okay, so check this out. This is interesting. So if we look at curl, and if I send a curl command, and I'm just looking to get information on it, it's coming back with a 403. And sometimes I wonder, is that due to the user agent? Let's change the user agent with capital A. Do I get back something different? I still get back all the text. Okay, you see what happened there? So we went from no user agent, And all I'm doing is trying to pull back the headers, and I'm getting a 403, which is forbidden. And then I'm specifying a different user agent, and now I'm getting back a 200. So, little shenanigans that websites will throw at you like that. You just have to be, willing to do some investigative work and work around it. So in this case, we're getting back a 200. Now, if I really, really wanted to make this look legit, what I would do is I would take all of these cookies that are coming back, I would parse them out, and I would throw them into my subsequent request. In Best Buy's case, it really isn't necessary because, as we saw, I can just send the request and then grep out for the word sold, which means they don't really care about, what I'm sending in. So, in this case, all we need to do is pass in the user agent, and we should be good. Okay. However, what we do want to do is I do want to make sure that the request is actually coming back with a 200. All right. I don't want a 401. I don't want a 302. I don't want any of that nonsense. I want a 200, which means request success. And so in this case, I'm going to check the request status. All right. And what I think would be helpful here is to actually watch this happen in Python. I do this all the time, to actually just have an actual Python interpreter window open, and then I type out my super proof of concept code in the Python interpreter window. And then we're going to grab this and throw that in there. That's me. That's Tmux copy mode that I'm using with Control A and then right bracket if you are using my dot files. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to set the headers, and then I'm going to set the URL. This is the URL that I'm interested in right here. URL. Okay. And then what we can do is say response equals requests and then get for a get request. And then we send the URL and then we pass in our headers. In this case, headers is the parameter name, but it's also the variable name. We send our request and then we have back a response. Okay. If we look at this, we're getting 400. Response should be the same thing. Status code. Yeah, we're getting back a 400. Why are we getting back a 400? Although, content. Interesting. So I do have a ton of content, but I'm getting back a 400, which is, maybe that's what I want, maybe that's not what I want. I'm pretty sure I want a 200. Request get URL. Yep, that's right. And I did set the UA. Yep. Is user agent, user dash agent. Yep. We might roll with this for right now and see if we can implement checking in there before. I do want to put this in though, because status code equals, we'll say, don't want to do this right now. I don't want to do this right now. Okay, just real quick. Oops. That was a few lines that I did there. I do want to keep this slightly centered in Vim because Vim is what we're using. And so in that case, and I know that I might just absentmindedly type. Remember what I said last stream, which is Vim is a language. And so that's just speaking the Vim language. If, let's actually send the request to get the response equals request get URL headers. And then for our test, let's just print response status code. Okay. So we have our function, like that's just, our rudimentary search function. And now we need the actual URL to target. Oops. So that would replace. Okay. You may not have seen that, but I screwed up the end there. In Vim, that really should be a right parenthesis. And in Vim, a handy trick is just the R key. If you R, and then type the character you want, it does a replace. R, right parenthesis. And then I'm going to hit a new line, which is O. So if you just hit the O key, it drops you down to a new line and then takes you to insert mode. And then we are going to call we're going to set our URL value. Nope. So that had the user agent copied, so I'm going to hit escape and then hit the U for undo. O key, URL. Let's try this again. This is tmux copying, so we'll tmux paste, and there we go. Okay, so we have our URL in. And now, let's just call that method search URL. Okay. So now that I have that, I'm going to add this file in my vimrc. Remember, I have some git helpers in here, which is leader. In my case, leader is a comma. And then leader GA for git add. And that parenthesis right there is the current file. So I'm adding the current file. And then I'm going to fire leader GC, which is git commit. That will prompt me for an update or a commit message. And then I'm going to fire leader GP, which is git push origin master. Okay. So git add, you didn't see it because it was real quick, GC. And then we're going to call this initial proof of concept. Save :WQ, save and exit that buffer, and then GP. And then I should be seeing a push message. Do I not see a push message? Oh, broke Vim. Broke Vim. GP, where are you at? Did this actually push out? Let's check. Hey, took a while. Okay, but it actually pushed out. Okay, so if you were following that, you should see the proof of concept if you pull that down. Okay, let's exit out of this, and we are going to go, here's my file, let's Python 3, and then let's run that. Okay, missing a search string. Well, I forgot to tell us what to search for. In this case, we don't have to search for anything because I haven't implemented that yet, but let's search for sold out. Okay, so I'm getting back a 400. I'm not happy about that. I should be getting back a 200 because I got back a 200 in my curl command. That was, yeah, so that gives me back a 200 passing in just that user agent. Fascinating. I wonder what I'm missing here. User agent. Yeah. I can't think of any reason why that wouldn't work, because that's essentially what I'm doing here. Passing the URL. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, just take a quick look back at that. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a look at, okay, so it is doing this .p at the very end. I was trying to get rid of that and see if that was anything else interesting. I can't, well, just for grins. Just for grins. Chrome, user agent, Linux, because we like Linux. Yeah. Linux user agent. That's Chrome 44. Let's grab a new one. Come. There we go. And run that again. You gonna give me something different this time? Sorry, you probably hear my kids laughing in the background. Interesting. Man, that latency. Oh, it's painful. Sorry if it's painful for you guys. Alright, so my code is hanging for reasons unknown to me. And it's the simplest and easiest of code, so not entirely sure why it's hanging. Let's go back to that other user agent. Just for reference, the way that I'm quickly commenting out files in Vim is with Vim Commenter. Sometimes the stream drops frames. Okay. I live way out in the country, so I'm not entirely surprised. Thank you for letting me know, though. I appreciate it. Oops. Okay. Let's look up for a comment. Okay. Vim Commentary is also done by T-Pope. He really does make some of the best plugins around. They're just extremely useful. And so in this case, I'm using Vim Commentary to quickly comment files because Vim Commentary is file type aware. So it knows how to comment out in Bash and knows how to comment out in PowerShell and in Python and various languages. And that's pretty handy. So in this case, if I type GCC, I comment out a file. If I type that again, or if I hit the dot, which is a repeat of the last instruction, then it will uncomment a commented line. And it also receives numerical indicators. So if I type 2 GCC, I now comment 2 lines. If I hit a dot, they become uncommented because that's how cool Vim Commentary is. And that's really all it does. It's super straightforward, and I just love it. So, are we back up and running yet? Okay, so we're back with a 400. So, is there something wonky about that user agent? That is really fascinating to me. So it's hanging on that user agent. If I switch, can hardly believe it. Yeah, really interesting. Okay, so it doesn't like that user agent. It doesn't like Linux. Why would Best Buy not like Linux? I understand. Let's do Windows. Let's do Windows Edge. Windows Edge user agent. Jeez Louise. The hoops I jumped through. Okay. All right, let's copy that. And let's try that user agent. Also hanging, coming back with a 400. Okay, we might just roll with that for now. Let's see if, let's do this. Let's request, by the way, that was, use the same user agent the scalpers use. That's probably, I don't know what they use. I've never scalped anything, so I don't know. I don't know. Tell your Rick Knight if you've scalped stuff before. Tell me. But just going back, so I'm gonna swap this out for content. I'm gonna print all the content to the screen. So I'm gonna hit the B key in Vim, which just takes you back a word, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hit CT and then the right parenthesis, and that is change to. So change means get rid of stuff and then drop you in insert mode. So CT in this case is CT right parenthesis, which takes me, it deletes all the text and then gets me to insert mode at that point. You can, if you want to include the character that you want to delete. So if I wanted to some people think about this differently. So if I wanted to delete everything through the E, that you would use CF. So that would be CFE, back, CFE. Okay, and we're doing the same thing. Point being is I normally think CT, so change to and then a certain character, because that's just my brain just connects with that better, I guess. So change to right parenthesis, and then we're going to print out the content. I have a hotkey in Vim that is, if I type JK in fast sequence, that effectively acts as escape. So I type JK to get out of insert mode, and then I have a Vim command that is mapped to leader W, which is save. And that is how I'm typing quickly. So again, that was, where'd that go? That was, so back up here, in like full Vim speed, search for status, C2 content, escape, save, drop down, run. And that is the Vim language being spoken at more of a conversational speed, and that's you signed up for this, guys. So you're just gonna hear me sing the praises and glory of Vim because I just love it. So if we do that and then grep for sold, do I get back what I need? I'm not getting back what I need. That is interesting to me because I can see it through curl. And so if I can see it through curl, let me try, just for grins, I have another user agent that I thought for sure was working. Version. And then Safari, let me just grab that. Back up. Yeah, right. So true. Not getting me what I want. Okay. Why don't you give me what I want? Why are you throwing me a 400? So many questions. Not enough answers. This might be the point where... Do I want to cut this over to Selenium? No, I don't. No, I most certainly do not. However, are cookies coming into play here? I do wonder. If cookies are coming into play, this is going to get a whole lot more complicated. So this throws me back at 200. And let's do... This is where it gets ugly. Set cookie. And then let's grab this value. Now here's the interesting thing. I have no idea if this is going to work. Such is the nature of this kind of coding. Let's just grab a few of these and see if I get a different response. Oops. Oh. Okay. Nah. If you're reading this, consider a job at Best Buy. All corporate careers. Well, I think we should definitely include that. Employment. You really... Should they really call it employment? I don't know. I wouldn't think so. That doesn't seem very... I don't know. What's search not doing that curl just doesn't care about? That's a really good question. We're using HTTPS, so inspecting the actual gets and posts coming back from this is... I'm not sure how fruitful that's going to be, unless curl can just do that natively. But the thing is that, and this is where I'm not entirely sure is that curl, because it's coming back with the 200, curl would have thrown me back a 302, or if there was just another redirect or something along those lines. The only other thing that I can think of is I did originally do this with an Xbox. I have not actually tried this with a PlayStation, so I'm curious if there's a difference there as well. Xbox Series. I can't imagine that there would be, but just for my sanity's sake. Xbox Series X. This is interesting because it's stuff is loading in the background here, and I'm not entirely excited about that. So URL equals, let's look for that. And that's hanging again. That doesn't make me happy. Okay. Ah, shoot. Still see the website. grep sold. Hey. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so I changed the URL down here to the Xbox website. Let's also print status code at the bottom and see what we get. Print. Why is there no status code here? Save that. Try again. Oh, it's grepping. Interesting. Okay. So I changed. What? So I changed the URL to the to the Xbox URL. Let's try the PlayStation URL again. That's giving me a 400. You sneaky devils. What are you guys doing? So that's the skew. Okay. I got some backslashes here instead of forward slashes. Is that my problem? I just have a bad request. That's my problem, isn't it? I don't need... Oh, shoot, guys. Yeah, so... No, you know what it is? Aw, dang, this is embarrassing. When I copied... Oh, dang. When I copied the URL, I copied it from the command line because I fired it into curl. ZSH, being the helpful creature that it is, inserted escapes for me. And that was the escape stuff. Let me save this. Let's fire that. And let's get a 200 on PlayStation. Son of a gun. Alright. So, hey, this is the fun part though, right? Or something. Okay, so now that I have... Let's get rid of that. And all I'm doing is I'm hitting DD here just to trash the line. DD also does copy the line. Yeah. Oh, man. Rasmussen, you're back, buddy. Remember, I'm counting on you to tell me if I forget to switch scenes. So KJO is taking over, but you got to tell me this too. I'm keyed into your messages now, my friend. So anyways, I'm using DD just to trash the line in Vim. So if I hit DD, it's basically a cut. So it's not delete, it's cut. And then I can paste it back in if I want it. All right, let's keep the code clean here because I like clean code. And then I'm really most interested in is the content. So, oh man. Okay, let's do this. if response status code equals 200, then we're going to do our search. Okay, else we want to be notified, right? All right, so let's handle the notification stuff real quick. Okay, I'm going to create a new method, and we're just going to call this send push with a message. Now, I'm going to give you guys kind of the stub code for for sending out a push message to Pushover. In this case, you would just have your API key, and then just your key, and then you'd also have your user key, which is also your user key. Okay, and then we're going to instantiate a new instance of the Pushover client, and then we're going to specify our user key, and then the API token parameter is set to our API key, and then we simply client send message, just like that. Okay, I'm going to save this. It's not actually going to run right now, but I'll commit it for any that are following along. So by the way, if you were not here for last week, the Vim Fugitive plugin tells me over here that I have some changes that have been made. So in this case, the lines with yellow tildes are changes, and then the blue, the green plus signs are additions. So that tells me that I've modified the file. So I'm going to hit "GA," add that, "GC" for adding an update message, and then we are going to insert, and then adding. Actually, I'm going to take that cookie stuff out. Adding send push method and test PS5 URL. Okay, I'm also going to say currently broken. Okay, and then we're going to save that and push it. I do apologize if I'm having internet issues. It seems to be going slow through. Yeah, my latency is not the best. I'm running on an LTE connection, so. Okay, so that's pushed out. So I'm going to get rid of these lines here. Actually, I'm not going to get rid of them. I'll just comment them. And then I got to get rid of that comma. Okay, so we'll comment them out just in case we need them later. But now I have my response. Let's do, and we're doing a status code check. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of actually, putting in my API key and that kind of stuff, which I'm not going to do. I'm sure you guys would have fun. I'm simply going to print the message out to the screen. All right, so that's going to simulate sending our push notification. So if this doesn't work, then what I want to do is I want to send push error connecting to PS5 site, and then format that with URL. Okay. So that way we get notified if for whatever reason the script can't get out there, because we don't want false negatives, right? We want to make sure that the script is doing its job. Okay, so now we actually have to search the text. This is the meat and potatoes of the actual search to see if this works or if it doesn't work. Now, I can tell you from experience that there are cases when you want to do what, and I don't know the proper terminology for this, it's just what I call it. Cases when you want to do a positive search and cases where you want to do a negative search. And so a positive search is really just, is this text in this text? And a negative search is this text not in this text? And I'm sure there are better ways of doing this, but this is the method that I came up with. So we add a parameter, and we'll just call it, what do we want to call this? We'll just call it negative search. Okay. All right. And so we need to actually look and see, is our code found in the text, depending on if this is a negative search or a positive search. So let's set a Boolean variable. And then if it's a negative search, so if negative search is set to true, then we want to see if the string is not in the string that comes back. Now we're not using this right now. We're going to use a positive search, okay, for the Best Buy URL, but this comes into play for other URLs. All right, so we're just doing a little bit of pre-work here. All right, so if negative search, if not search string in, let's actually come up here and get the content equals string. Okay. Oh man, that was a good time to show you marks in Vim. I'm going to show you a mark. So if you know that you're going to be at a specific place, this is super helpful. If you know you're going to be at a specific place and you need to jump around in a file, but you're always going to come back to a certain spot, you can set a mark. And a mark in a Vim file is basically just like a bookmark is really what it is. And you prefix that with the M as in mark and then a letter. So in my case, I just use MA or MB or MC. I normally don't need more than 2 or 3 marks in any given document. But I know I'm going to need to come back to this spot. So I'm going to do MA, and you see nothing, right? But I typed MA. And so we go back up here, we do some stuff, and then if I'm going to get back to my mark and be out of insert mode, and then I hit the single apostrophe and then the letter. So I'm going to hit apostrophe A. Apostrophe. I can't exit. M-A and then apostrophe A. Why? I have no idea why it's taking me down to that line. It should be taking me right to that spot. maybe I got this wrong. Do I have marks wrong? You know what? I'll bet you I have marks wrong. I'm not going to go on a sidetrack on it. I guess marks just take you to the current line that you were on before. So slightly embarrassing today, I learned. Really? Yeah. All right. So let's do that again. Apostrophe A, get me to the front of the line, and then I want to get to insert mode at the end of the line. That is Shift I. No, it's not. It is Control A. Forgive me. Shift A. Let's do that again. Mark. Shift A, insert mode at the end of the line. Okay. If not search string in content, then we're going to set found equal to true. Else, if not search string. Yeah, is there more to that? I'm not sure if there's more to that. I probably... You know what, we'll just leave it like that. Found equals, that doesn't make any sense. Else, if search string, yeah, in negative, that's why. That's why. If negative search, then we look for this. Otherwise, we're looking to see if it is in there. Search string in content, then found also equals true. Okay. So we have 2 conditionals here, and then if found, then send push PS5 found, and then we're going to include our URL. Okay. This should hopefully get us some feedback. And if it doesn't, then we're going to have to debug. So save that. Let me just do a quick check content. So what's coming back? So this is saying, so we want a, in this case, we're going to be doing a positive search. So negative search, or negative search is going to be false. All right. Let's get our first error. Oh, it didn't error. Hey. What did I tell you guys? Bug-free code. Yeah? You didn't believe me. You didn't believe me. KJO. I'm totally making crap up. My bugs are the worst of all. All right. And so there, is that really it? Let's save that. And then let's commit it. Why does it say found when it's, hey, why does it say found? Good question. Working. Almost. Let's commit this first. Okay. And then we'll push that up. All right. Okay. So, why does it say found? Let's step through it and see what we get. I'm going to set a breakpoint. And this is where Ipdb comes in handy. This single line is essentially setting a breakpoint in Ipdb. Is Ipdb going to work? It works. Okay, cool. So we know that we have a good status code coming back as 200. We have found set to false. And then our search string is sold out. Search string in content. Okay, so sold out is in content. And oh, okay. If oh, that's why. Found false if negative search. I just have my logic flipped in my brain. What we wanted to find sold out. We wanted to make sure that we actually saw that, and we do. Now, there is one thing that I'm not quite satisfied with, and that's sold. We'll do optimizations here in a little bit, but for right now, sold out is found in the text, and so negative search is false, and so if search string in content found is true. Okay. Yeah, I just have my logic backwards in this case. So what I need to be doing is not a I have my logic backwards. So I thought that we were not doing a negative search. We are doing a negative search because we only want to be notified if the text is not in the response, not if the text is in the response. So I have my logic backwards. So we set this to true, and now we should get nothing. Oh, well, we get a debugger hit. Let's get rid of that, save it. Okay, so we got nothing, which is that's what we want, right? Now, let's do a quick check to look at our text and see. Let's replace that with an F. So that text should not be in there. And so if we're doing a negative search, we're looking for a not, so we're looking for bug-free code. we're looking for, in this case, we're doing a double negative. So in this case, we should get an alert. Okay, cool. So now we got our PS found. All right. One quality of life improvement that actually, this isn't quality of life. This is an optimization for the code. Is looking at this curl command. Grep sold. Here's what I'm afraid of. What I don't want is, I don't want, say, an advertisement coming up or there's like, say, a comment in a page where it says sold out, or say some JavaScript where it has the text sold out, or something like that. I want the actual button that says sold out for this particular product. And so in this case, I'm going to update my text to include the button text itself. Okay, so sold out and then button. All right, save that. Oops. There we go. Run that. Okay, and I get nothing. So, which is good. It means that I've got like some kind of weird encoding thing here. But if I replace this with a Q, or better yet, yeah. First, let's do that. I should get a hit, which I do. Save that back. Okay, so now we have our working code. So let's add that. Commit. Insert. Save that. Oops, 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 oops. Push that. Okay. And now you got your working code. So if I wanted to, now we add some quality of life improvements. Okay. Some people are just fine getting texted at all hours. All right. I might not be. In this case, I didn't particularly want to get texted at like 2 o'clock in the morning with an update, because at first I had this script running all the time, but I didn't want to get updated at 2 o'clock in the morning with a false hit. Now maybe it was a positive hit, but the truth is that I'm like in my early 40s. I value my sleep more than I value an Xbox, and so that's just the cold hard truth there. And so what we're gonna do is again, just kind of a quality of life improvement. Let's specify the hour here. Actually, we'll go down. That was capital G. Okay, so in this case, so I'm going to update it. KJO, I see your comment. If I could rig this for GPUs, you would take it. You know what? Let's rig it for GPUs. Can you buy GPU? What kind of GPU do you want? Better yet, drop a link to a legitimate site. Actually, don't drop. I'm not going to click a link. Sorry, man. Just tell me what you want. Y'all know I'm on Linux, so y'all know I'm coding in Python. You drop me a link and I click on it. No, I don't know. I'm not doing that. If I were you, I'd probably want like a GeForce EVGA GeForce RTX 380. Let's have a look at that. Let's see if we can rig this. You might actually, I think there's only like 3 people in chat, and so you're the chattiest, and so therefore you get perks. Okay, let's have a look at, switch over my browser at that URL. Okay, so I think that looks pretty straightforward. It's got the same. So here's the SKU. It's got the exact same format for the link. So let's give it a shot. If you send me a Bitly link, I'll just reverse it, and if you're rickrolling me, I'll give you not a lot of props, because Bitly is you need to get up earlier than that. All right, URL equals, and I don't want to turn this into a game of hack Jason's computer, so let's not do that, please. All right, so we're looking for the exact same thing on Best Buy. And hopefully we get nothing, which is good. And so sold out, just check our logic, because I'm specific that way. Okay. And so there you go. And so now you got your link. You would obviously just change that to GPU. Oh, doggone it. Oops, scene. So all I did was I just swapped out the URL, did a quick sanity check down here just to make sure that that the code works, and it looks like it does. So that's it. That looks like it'll work for just about anything on Best Buy, which is pretty straightforward. So like I said, I am going to add just a couple of quality of life improvements here. Let's set the hour. Let's get the exact hour. Date, time, now, hour. And I think that should be right. That should give me a number hour. So import date, time. Okay, it does. Yep. So 8 o'clock my time. All right. So now that we have that, yeah, I had one 5 minutes ago. I hear you. It was that way with me in Best Buy for a while. So, but hopefully this will work and you'll get what you need. So I always want to do the search when it pertains to the hour. I always want to do the search. However, I only want to get notified. Actually, I'm just gonna, and then we'll get rid of that. You can monkey with that when you download the code. Okay, so if hour is, let's say, if the hour is greater than, say, 5 in the morning, and hour is, we'll say, less than, let's say 11. Yeah, we'll say 11. I'll be up. Okay. Then we will send our push. Okay. And that's kind of a, decent. How else can we do this? If hour is greater than 5, yep, 6, 7, 8, and hour is less than, yep, that'll work. Then we get our push. So, and of course you can tweak this any way you want. But that should get us a, make sure that we're only getting texted at the right time. And then you would simply set this up as a cron job, and that's pretty straightforward. So I don't even know if I have cron installed on my. Do I have cron? PMS cron. Is it cron tab? Yeah, crony. There it is. So come on. Oh, that's it. We're in it. And then the syntax for cron is it always eludes me. I'm just doing a quick Google search. Cron syntax. There's actually I should have bookmarked it when I saw it, but there was like a really neat page where it basically just told you, oh, there it is. Is that it? Hang on. Switching scenes. I didn't forget. That's what Google is for. See, I actually had the script basically pre-written, and so I'm kind of working off that as a little bit of a cheat sheet. Otherwise, I would be Googling a ton, and that's just kind of embarrassing. So every 5 minutes. Let's change this to run every 30 minutes. Okay. So that's what we want in cron. And then that would just be Python 3 JSON get give me search.py. And there we go. For debugging, I would set this to like every minute, and then just do a test every 30. In this case, well, no, every 30 seconds, and then just monkey with the text and see if I can force it to generate an alert. But that's kind of like our pretty simple working script. Not super complicated in this case. There is other stuff that we can add, like Microsoft has a page where you can see like a conglomerate status of like Walmart and GameStop and stuff like that. And that one actually took me a while to track down. That one I had Burp Suite open, and I was actually looking through the various hits to see if I could find it, and then pull that back as well. And that was actually a negative. That did end up being a true negative search. And so that's why that code is there. But pretty simple and straightforward. And really, honestly, now I got this running. every 30 seconds, and you'd obviously update this with your pushover API key, and then you'd have a working notification. There is no reason why you couldn't set this to run faster. However, I generally don't like things. How do I want to put this? I don't like 30. Oh shoot, was it? Yeah, there's 30 minutes. Hang on a second. No, you're right. You're right. Every, what is it? Can you do like 0.5? Google. Cron every seconds. Crohn's disease. I shouldn't laugh. Crohn's is horrible. That's 30 minutes, and now we're on stack. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this is what, essentially one thing that I ended up doing is if you run a job like every second or things like that, maybe like once a minute. If you're running the job once a minute, but you're sleeping, no, that's not how I did it. Hold on. I'm gonna check my jobs server real quick. Because I had this lined up in cron. I don't remember exactly what I did. Let me pull it out real quick. Oh, okay. All right, that is actually exactly what I did. So what I did was I'm running this. So this, I believe this runs the job every minute. 30 minutes. Possibly, yeah. I could be mistaken on this. I'm no cron expert. Either that or this runs the job continuously. This might be a continuous fire in this case. However, what we can do is, oops, let's delete that. We can simply sleep 30 seconds and then do that. So it'll fire and then it'll sleep and then it'll fire. What you can also do is actually do the sleep in code. And sleeping in code, in my opinion, is a little bit more preferable. Now, Best Buy doesn't care. I can tell you I've been running this job for a while. I still get back plenty of hits. I don't really get much for errors. And so Best Buy doesn't seem to care at all. However, what you can do is simply use Python's random wait when it fires, and just choose a random integer for waiting, and then say sleep for that random integer. So if you choose a random integer between 0 and 30, you end up with like 16, and then you sleep 16 seconds, and then it fires again and chooses another random integer, and then it sleeps again. And so you get kind of that random firing, which looks a little more like a user hitting F5. In my opinion, at least. And chances are you could probably get away with that. You could probably get away with running it much faster than 30 seconds. Like if I truly wanted a GPU, I'd be firing that probably every 5 seconds and seeing if it worked. And the good news is that there are error controls in place to send you a notification if it stops working. The bad news is that you'll get a metric ton of notifications if it stops working. So you'll have to drop everything, get to your computer, because you'll be getting hit every X seconds that the script doesn't work anymore. So, in my opinion, this is decent enough to get you what you need, at least as a boilerplate, for getting the notifications for that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of any other obvious improvements. I'm not sure if there's anything else you guys would want to see added to this, but this is essentially the boilerplate for what I wrote. I had other links. I had it going out to Walmart for a while. Had a Target. Like I said, Target was a painful one because Target sends when you connect out to the page, it then sends like an AJAX request that sends another AJAX request that pulls back the data. And so, is it doable? Yeah, it's 100% doable. You just have to traverse those requests, call the right libraries, call the right HTTP GET requests, and then away you go. However, and when my son asked me about this, Dad, I need a PlayStation, I'm like, I don't care that much to devote a ton of time into it. So, in this case, Best Buy worked just fine. So, But I don't see any reason why you couldn't code this up for Amazon as well. And so because we have that, I'll just take a quick multiple items. Would you just make a different job for different card makers, or can you check multiple models? So what I would do in that case is all I would do is copy this, paste that, add your new line. That's it. Like add your separate URL, and then check one, check twice, check as many items as you want. Now you might have to broaden out the amount of time that you're sleeping. If you, let's say you only wanted to sleep for 5 seconds, like you're desperate, you want a GPU come hell or high water, and you want it right now. Okay, and so you want to fire this job every 5 seconds. Well, let's say that you have more than 5 seconds worth of code to run. Okay, that now you get into like this weird overlap scenario where you could get multiple texts coming at the same time. I mean, it would work. It's just that you would, just picture waves in the ocean. Like, you'd have overlapping waves of code running, which again would work because they're all running in separate threads and separate processes, but it's just a little, I don't know, it's kind of dirty. So if you really, really wanted that, then I would split out the scripts and run each script individually as tightly as possible. So it would literally just check one URL, and then that would run every 5 seconds. And if I wanted something else, I would check another URL that would run every 5 seconds. Now, in my case, I checked a bunch of URLs in code and then slept for 30 seconds, or like a random interval, 0 to 30. And that worked just fine for me. I do not know how fierce the competition is for GPUs. I hear it's insane because everyone's mining Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. But I do all my gaming on an Xbox, obviously. So, and I'm not really into crypto. So I imagine the competition is pretty insane because I hear that there's that much interest for it, from people like yourself. But this being the case, I would simply just have multiple URLs. I would do a simple timing test, and by simple I mean dirt simple. Just hit a stop clock timer on your phone, hit go, and see how long it takes. And if it takes 20 seconds, then you can probably on average run it, say, every 25 seconds. Hit all the URLs, and you have good coverage that way. So we'll just do something like cost of search. And I'll just comment that out, and then add that, commit, added comments, oops, and push. Yeah, I have a 1080 Ti too. Works great. I bought it used. But like I said, I don't do much for gaming, and if I do, it's not going to be, super intense. I just figured out how to get a free one. Yeah, I bought one from a coworker on the cheap. And so if you have coworkers that happen to work in tech, quite honestly, I would just drop a message in chat saying, "Hey, can I have your used card?" And some coworker took pity on me and sold me his used card. But for all you that want the insane, latest 390s or 490s or 590s or whatever they are, this is probably a good way to go. Use the bash script with a cron check if it's already running, and not launch a dupe script for stuff like that. But that would kill the problem alerting. Yeah. Yep. Checking UPS truck. Same old bash launcher. Yeah. And there's a million ways to solve this problem. I'm a Python guy. Every time I look at bash scripting, I understand it, and I've coded plenty of bash. It's just, let me put it this way, I have to Google less when I code Python than when I code bash. That's really just all it comes down to. Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to jack a UPS truck, just don't tell me about it. Actually, don't jack UPS. All right. I mean, I'm not going to condone who to jack and who not to, but I mean, FedEx is, I don't know, 8 times as bad as UPS. So, and you know how I know this? Like this is how I know. I have a really long driveway, and FedEx showed up at my house, and they had a package, and I have an old golden retriever, and she's old now. She's got a mean bark, but she's old and like utterly harmless. And FedEx dude gets out, gets the yeah, don't forget your spaces. That is so true. Fe- FedEx dude gets out, takes the box, sees the dog, and this poor guy, I feel so bad. Like he must have had a really bad experience with a dog because he literally took the box, threw it onto the driveway, like it hit the ground, and he bolted. I'm standing outside, watching this. He bolted, got into his truck, and peeled off down the driveway. All right, so there's my dented box in the driveway covered in a cloud of rocks. And so I go pick it up, and on one hand, like I could get mad about that stuff, but I don't. Like dude probably been bitten by so many dogs, and the UPS showed up the same day. Here's how I know this is the UPS difference. UPS showed up the same day, different package, pulled up the same driveway, same dog comes running out, and I see out of the UPS truck flies a dog treat. My dog scoops it up. His tail starts wagging. He steps out, pets the dog, hands me my package, says have a great day, and then just like gently strolls back down. It was great. I was like, dude, that's how you do it, my friend. Yeah, totally. I was pretty impressed. So he actually, my UPS driver, I'll call him John because I actually got to know him. He slid off the road right in front of my house, and when the snow was on the ground, and just landed in the ditch. And I walk down there, and my daughter comes up and she's like, Dad, there's a truck in the ditch, and I run down there, and there's John standing there, and he's just standing there on the phone, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he said, I'm in a ditch, and I brought him out some stuff because it was snowing. I brought him out, like a cup of soup, I think is what we had. He stood out there for like 3 hours, told me all about Amazon drivers versus UPS drivers versus it was great. We had a great conversation. Apparently Amazon drivers will drive for like 12 hours a day, hundreds and hundreds of drop-offs. That kind of stuff is just, that's mind-blowing to me. So how guys can do that? They have to listen to like 4 or 5 audiobooks a day. I don't even understand. So, but yeah, UPS is amazing. All right. And I think we're about done. I appreciate all you guys hanging in there. I don't know if there's any last minute comments or things you guys want to see. It's 8:30. I was basically done by 8. So, just had to work through my bugs, all the bugs and quality of life improvement. So I'm thinking next stream we'll do a little bit of Ansible work and maybe build out an Arch VM. For those that are interested, that is really technically only. See, that's what I think. Technically, just took an hour. We basically 7:59 we wrapped it up. And maybe we'll do some Ansible work and build out an Ansible playbook for building an Arch VM. I'm gonna have to be a little careful how I do that in terms of like bandwidth because I don't want to cut out the stream, but the stream should be fine. So we'll build out an Arch VM and actually do the installation. So. We'll install programs that way. And I don't know if is that something you guys are interested in, or do you want to see more code? Because I have an idea for more code, and this would be more along the lines of like red team code, which we could do and build a project that's much more complex. And if you guys are interested in that, I'm happy to do that as well. So it's all up to you guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna pick something. But let me know what you think. Arch plus Ansible sounds outstanding. I agree. The majority last week was for that VM. All right, that's cool. Let's do that. We'll build out a VM start to finish, and all you'll need is you'll need the Arch Linux ISO, and in my case, I'll be using VirtualBox. So VirtualBox takes a lot of crap for reasons that Ansible. All right, VirtualBox takes a lot of crap for reasons I don't understand. It's not the best software, but it's not the worst. And, for like local VMs, it's what I use for, my main Windows VM, and it works fine. So really no no problems with it, and it works great with Arch VMs. In fact, all the work that I've been doing has been on an Arch VM running in VirtualBox, so we can do that and get that up and running. It's free. It is free. So I don't. Yeah, it's Oracle. It's not open source. So if you're really, really into the open source movement, then I don't think that'll. I don't think that means unless it is open source, and I just don't know about it. But VirtualBox is, in my opinion, works fine for what it is. Or is it open source? Now I'm really curious. It can't be. It's from Oracle. Oracle doesn't do anything open source. Nah. All right. All right. Well, we'll plan on doing that. And I'll have a little bit of Ansible at the ready. But I think what's cool is some things that really help me with Ansible and with the YAML language is having linters installed. And I can just talk through that just real quick. Oops. I just talk that real quick, and then I'll kill the stream. Let's have a look at that. Yeah. So some handy stuff here is if my file type is a YAML file type, then I'm using a linter, and that is YAML lint. YAML lint is really cool. I didn't get too much into linting in this particular case, but in this case, for Python, you can use pylint, and pylint is also fantastic. Tech college. Yeah, VMware Fusion is great. Like for our Mac systems, we run Fusion. Windows guys run Hyper-V or Workstation, and that's honestly, they're all different sides of the same coin. They're all going to get the job done in various ways, and I'm a big fan of the whatever works mindset. This kind of stuff is not stuff that I really stress out about. So in the case of VirtualBox, it works fine. So if you want to follow along with me directly with VirtualBox, that's great. Otherwise, use whatever you want. But really, you just need the Arch Linux ISO, and you really should be good to go there. So download that in addition. But the linters are good stuff, and I use linting all the time just because I probably linting and like just good syntax practices is one of those things that I'm ignorant of to the point that I don't know what to ask for. And so linting is one of those things where it just kind of helps you. So for example, I don't even think I have pylint installed. Pacman, is it Python pylint? Yeah, let's install that real quick. Failed to commit. Did it get installed? No. What happened here? Yeah. Pylint 2147. And we're failing. Maybe it's not on the mirror that I have going. That's okay. Anyways, Pylint is something that it's one of those things where it will throw like the information back to the Vim panel, so I can actually see, hey, your code looks like garbage here. Your code looks great here. And that's really useful. Ansible has the same things for YAML files with YAML lint. So if you want to get a head start, install YAML lint as well. Actually, what am I talking about? We're gonna walk through the installation. So we'll do that maybe next week. I have a home project coming up. I'm swapping out my hardwood floor for the next 2 weeks. So we'll see how much progress I make, and if I'll be doing streaming. If I'm not doing streaming over the next 2 weeks because I'm out, then I'll be on the third week in May, and we will build out an Arch VM at that point. So, but otherwise, I think that's it. That's all I had. I appreciate everyone who signs up for this and has spent an hour and a half with me tonight coding up stuff in Python. My wife asked me, she's like, "Do you actually like doing this?" And because it's work, it is. And what's funny is that my first job, my desire was, you got notifications on Twitter. Yeah, my quick story, and then I'll let you guys go. My first desire was not to work with computers. I actually went to college for engineering, and I couldn't hack it in the math, and so I started failing my math classes. So I was like, what is something I've always wanted to do? and it was to be a teacher. And so I applied for the College of Education to see if I could get in and be, because I wanted to be a high school math teacher, even though I was failing statics for engineering. But I figured I could hack it for Algebra 1. And I got rejected from the College of Education. And so I ended up dropping out of college and went to work at Best Buy. And that started me on the path of computers. But point being is, that, teaching is just something that I just love doing. And so it's a ton of fun, and hopefully you guys, find this enjoyable as well. It's always fun to hang out with people, even in the middle of, COVID and that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm now rambling, and that's normally when I say something wrong. So I will cut this off, and I hope you all have a great night. Thanks again for tuning in, and hope you all have a great week. Take care.